Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Berube here and Patrick Clark. Okay, another Facebook Live. I must say, Patrick Clark, real estate extraordinaire. Okay, now turned manager extraordinaire. Moved to the lovely Sedona. You know, the positive energy vortex of the universe. And we should probably even start before that. Professional musician touring with all the big guys, including Darius Rutger. That's awesome. But welcome to the show, Patrick.
Oh, thank you.
That was the studio audience. They gave you a standing O.
Time, Rick.
I know, they're great, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, Patrick, well, tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been doing this, maybe a little bit about your transition, all that stuff.
Yeah. So my name's Patrick Clark, and I started out as a Berkey, and I'm still a Berkey. I have had the opportunity to be working with Rick and with Susan Kramer and Mark and Shirley Small and Cassie Mueller, and that was kind of my lineage. Well, Mark's always just been around, but great opportunities. Been trained by some lovely people, and I moved back to Flagstaff in August of last year, and I've just really missed teaching. So I toured and had a huge career in country music, and then I went into the classroom, and that was my favorite part of life. And real estate has been a second favorite, I suppose. And here we are now managing, and I'm back in the teaching zone, and definitely really loving it. So,
yeah, as a matter of fact, we figured out that we didn't know each other, but the first time I heard you play was at a Darius, because he came to Red Rock.
Yep.
Right across the street from my house. It was like 10 years ago now, because Tina and I will be 10 years August. So it was 9.75 years ago, whatever. And you guys, and it was an incredible. He was really good. He even played a couple Hootie songs, which I really liked.
It's part of the set. Sometimes I felt like we were in a cover band.
Playing his own, right?
Older music, you know.
With a little love. He's got a very unique, as soon as he starts singing, whether it's Wagon Wheel or Hootie, you know right away who it is, because he's got a very unique super personality voice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Music is fun. We could talk about that all day, but that's not what they came to hear. We were talking about it before we get started. I think we might have been boring Paul a little bit, actually. But tell us a little about your real estate journey, because you started out of the gate. You mentioned being with Berkshire, and I think it's great. You mentioned all the people that helped you, which I think is awesome too, right? From Susan to Cassie, with Shirley in the middle, and working in my coaching for a little while as well. Yep. And you got Mark Stark out there as well. But tell us a little about, because I know you got out of the gates hot. You went from 0 to 60 and then 100 fast. So tell us how you did that.
Man, I just used the training, Rick. I just did what I was told, and I applied myself. I went out every day, and of course, my back was against a wall. I mean, full disclosure, I was broke when I started, and I had run the music thing as far as I could run it, because I was teaching, all day, and then I go gig and teach at night. And I loved it. I was having a great time. I just wasn't making the money that I needed to provide for 4 kids, now 5, because apparently my wife loves children. I do too. So we, that sounded so bad, didn't it?
No. I knew exactly what you meant when you said it, but it didn't. It did not sound bad. But I knew
children. She does. So what the heck?
Right.
No. So, anyways, we just. We wanted a big family, and, music as a profession was not what was going to keep me being at home, during the tender hours, reading books at bedtime, and those are special times, and you don't get them back, So started in real estate, and the reason I got started quickly is because I did everything I could. I tried everything. The hard part for me was that everything worked. So I did the door knocking, I did the open houses, I did whatever else.
Fizbos. You started hard on Fizbos too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how I actually got my first deal, and that deal has paid me more money career-wise than any other transaction, as far as like when you leverage up your listings. I've done like 160,000 in gross commissions from that one listing in a linear down the line type deal. I've done a ton of business, and I had the listing, but the buyer wasn't happy with their agent, so they started referring me, and that's how it all started. But
That's great.
I
I remember you
so
calling me after you were like you were like floating, like, this is what I've got to do. I can do this. I'm like, yeah, you can. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned about music, because I remember in my 20s when I was playing in a decent band, nothing like what you were in, of course, but we were like, my claim to fame is we opened for the Fools. Remember the Fools?
no,
You
I
know,
never.
they had their
I
big hit was "She Makes Me Feel Big." Big, big, big. So the Fools, they were actually from New England. They were a pretty good band, but they brushed the top 20s in the 80s, and we opened for them. But my point is that I get what you're saying about music, because you have to look at it and go, I love it. But music is kind of like, you have to be good, but you have to know people. You have to get a certain amount of breaks. The percentages of you making it in music is so small. But in real estate, if you do this, do that, you're going to make a lot of money, and it's a way more sure thing. I don't want to make it sound like it's a settling thing, but it's way more sure. You can have a life, you can have a family. You're not just rolling the dice for a small percentage return. You can always play music, right? You still go out and play, but it's way more of a sure thing in real estate, especially if you're good like you are.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but I think the big thing was just really applying what I was taught, and being consistent, and just, I mean, I've heard you say this now for the last 4 years, and now that I'm managing, it's like, yeah, I mean, it really is the consistency, and I will tell you the biggest discovery, if I can have the
Yeah.
liberty to even say this, but
Yes.
now that I am no longer selling for a living, right? I'm still doing some selling here and there for people that I know, but it's not my primary focus. I see so much of the things that I could do better just by stopping and slowing down and just taking at things at a glance and analyzing a little bit. And I think if I was going to analyze what I could have done better as an agent, it was to stop and slow down, like slow down, and be a little bit more thoughtful about what you're doing. Because I'm the guy that'll go out there and I'll trip over myself, always forward, just do whatever it takes, get this one, get this one, get this one. But sometimes I was so in it that I needed to be out of it a little bit, and I needed to give myself time off, which I really didn't do very well.
Yeah.
So,
Well, especially with 5 kids now, you better take some time off.
well, and that's the thing. You really got to watch it, because it'll catch up to you. It sure did
Oh.
me.
Yeah, and you'll get a little crispy, I call it, a little burnt out, and that's not
Yep.
good. You don't want, especially and I know you made that joke about your wife having kids, but I've seen your posts, I've seen your stuff on social media. You're very proud, and obviously love those kids a lot. So it's very
Oh
obvious
man.
you're a
Oh
good
yeah.
dad too.
Well, thank you.
I think it goes together. What the old saying is, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? It's so true. Like, you can watch somebody eat, you know a lot about them. Like, if you watch me eat, it's almost violent. So yeah. All right. So give us a little of those tidbits. So now you're moving into management, and you get to see things from a different perspective. Like you said, stop, take a look. So if you were talking to a new agent or one of your agents that wanted to start off right, or maybe take it to the next level, what would be the 3 or 4 things you tell them to focus on the most?
Don't do too much. It's focus on. Boy, I just got a low battery notification. So I'm gonna have to take this to my office. So I'm gonna walk. See you
No
guys.
problem.
See you.
We're on location, ladies and gentlemen, with Patrick Clark at the
Well, good. Let me see. Would you like a tour? So,
Just plug in.
so here's what I would say. There's 3 things, in my opinion, that you should focus on when you are doing your job as an agent. And I put client care first, because I never want to say that I am more important than my client, right? But my business needs to continue to run. So lead generation really is number 1. But I say client care, lead generation, and business development Top three. I mean, I'm sure you've heard Mark say your urgent few. What are your urgent few?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, in this business, if I'm going to simplify it, is the things that I should be doing during the day are those three components. And I need to be, if I'm lead generating, that means that I'm probably going to have some appointments somewhere down the line.
Right.
And to whatever level I do that, it's about how I close, right? So if I can make the appointment happen, that the only way I'm going to get an appointment is if I actually go out there and talk to somebody. That day I got that FSBO that we were just talking about, I'm standing in Susan's office and I'm going, I don't know what to do. It's just too much abundance of choice. And she said, Patrick, just go out and talk to someone. So it really is lead generation, client care, and business development. And if you do those three things, then and consistently, you can't just do it once a month, right? You've got to do it. And you've got to pay attention to your finances. And finances are part of business development. You need to know how much money you're going to take home, right? You need to know how much money you're going to pay in taxes. You need to know how much money you're going to set aside for marketing and your business, right? And if you're really going to try to grow your business and you're just going to try, let's say you're just going to be a solo agent. You're not going to try to grow a team. Well, you still need some team members, so to speak, to help you. And that first team member is a transaction coordinator. And so as you grow transaction coordinator and then an assistant, right? Licensed assistant. Right. Transaction coordinators can be paid out of the transaction. So you don't have to save money for that. You just don't make quite as much because you pay them out of the deal. But if you really want to grow, always be thoughtful about, hey, what are the tasks that I'm really, really good at that I should be doing? Lead generation, client care, and business development, right?
Right.
And if I'm getting bogged down in paperwork or I'm getting bogged down in tasks, well, can I pay somebody to do that, right? And I've heard you say this too. People don't want to let go of the control. Well, if they let go of the control, then they have more time, which means they have less stress, which means they have a better life. And we talk about living our ideal life every day, right? So those are, I kind of did a little bit deeper there, but
I like it.
Lead generation, client care,
Yeah.
business development. Put that on your calendar, do it every day. And if you do that in your first 4 to 6 hours in your day, then the rest of the day is a blast.
Right. You got all the tough stuff done.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah. So tell us, okay, so your lead generation, what you mentioned FSBOs, did you try expireds?
I did. Yeah, I had some luck with those, but I door knocked everybody. So door knocking was my thing. And I know that a lot of people have trepidation about that because they don't want to have the rejection, but it's not really, I wouldn't worry about the rejection. And again, something you told me was, when I was first in the business, I don't know, I've been 3 or 4 months and I was on your call and I decided to speak up. And you said, Patrick, I hope you know that I'm saying this in a very nice way, but you don't have the right to be upset or I can't remember what it was, or frustrated. Yeah. It was that
frustrated. That's the word.
Frustrated. And you're like, you haven't been in the business long enough. Go out there and get it again, And I brought that back in is like, well, I don't really have a concern of them being mad at me because they don't know me. They don't want some people don't want me there. Well, that's not who I'm looking for anyway. Great. I got that one out of the way. Now where's the next one, right? So if you're out there if you're out on the beach and you're having some fun and you go, well, I want to take some seashells home today. Well, what do you got to do? You got to go roll over the rocks. You got to dig in the sand. You got to go find them. And all you got to do is go find those people that need help. And to me, the best place to go find buyers and sellers are where buyer and sellers reside. That's at their house.
Yeah, I agree. That's where they live.
So I incorporated door knocking into everything that I did, whether it was open houses, FSBOs, expireds, canceled listings. I did them all.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. That's great. No, I remember too, because you had Eric in your office that had a little bit of head start on you doing it that way too. He was door knocking all the expire. So he had a really, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I mean, listen, it's easy stuff. I shouldn't say that. It's simple stuff that a lot of people don't consider to be easy. No, and I agree. And that's my line. You don't qualify to be frustrated. You haven't been doing it long enough.
That's right. Yeah, and you were so right, right? But again, I was being short-sighted, right? I was like, I wanted that immediate
Right.
return, and I wasn't getting it. And it was like, dude, you just got to keep going. Like, think more long haul. And I was raised by a realtor, but she did her business differently than I did. So,
Right. Well, it's kind of like if you've ever like, and I know you've done this. Teach somebody to play the violin, right? You realize, because I just tried this the other day for the first time in years. Show somebody a song who doesn't know how to play, who asked me to show him a specific song, and then I realized I basically said to him, "Dude, you don't qualify to play the song yet because you don't even know. You got to practice this before you even get to that bar chord. E minor into F major." And I'm like, you have to learn the basics first, and then you realize like how long did it take you to get that good at the fiddle? It took you a long time, right?
well, yeah. I mean, I've been playing, oh, geez, 35, 33 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been playing since third grade. So what does that make me? Holy cow, a long time. Yeah, and it's the same thing with anything. Now, fortunately, with real estate, you can get good really fast because very few people are doing it this way.
Well, and that's and yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. Look, I totally get that. And the hard part about, the door knocking is, hey, I'm out here, I'm hustling, I'm walking around, I'm getting a lot of no's. But if you, especially if you don't have a sphere, I mean, Mark said this, I didn't have a sphere, so I had to build one. So I just went out and did what I needed to do. And that was, my back was against a wall. I couldn't just, laissez-faire it and kind of work into these relationships. I had to find people that needed to do something because I needed money.
Right. Yeah. You had an urgency level. You were like, this has got to work. I got to make this happen. Which is honestly, it's I call well I don't call it this. I've read somewhere the gift of desperation. You figure out fast how to do something when you are in that mode.
But I think the key to that is not losing sight when you become successful, right? Because if you win, if you win over and over and over again, and then my business ramped up just as the market did. So, I didn't spend a ton of time doing a ton of marketing on my listings. I didn't right early on. But now that this market is shifting, there's a skill set that I haven't practiced in a while.
Right. Good
And
point.
so, I think the thing that we always have to remember is that there's always a weakness. We'll get strong in one area because that's what the demands of the market are, right? But we always have to keep in mind that, hey, down over here, remember that? Because that's going to come back again. And so's this, and then so's this. And you just need to be able to kind of, roll around. But you can't expect that. How do I say it? It's an ego thing, I guess, is what I'm after.
Yeah.
Right. Just because I had a lot of success really fast doesn't entitle me to not remember where I came from and remember that that's a great way to get business. And at the end of the day, if I need business fast, knocking on doors has been the fastest way I get business.
Right. Right. And it's I like your analogy too. Ever since you've started the market, it's like you're on a bicycle. You're going downhill. You got a 20-mile-an-hour wind behind you. As long as you keep pedaling, you're going to go twice as fast. But pretty soon, it's going to level off, or you might even come to a hill, right? And you still got to keep pedaling. You may not. It'll take a little. So it's a great analogy that you're going to see the market because the market has changed. It's not. It's nowhere near as bad as the news and people are sensationalizing it, which and they'll get worse before they get better, right? But it still requires a presentation. I personally think for the top producer or even the medium producer or that anybody who's being proactive, basically, this market that's coming is going to separate from the wannabes from the people that are really good at it because the people that will be doing it, like sellers are going to realize, well, yeah, maybe we should, talk to a professional and, for sale by owners and expires. And so I think the market is going to be very beneficial to the person who's working.
Oh, I agree. And I honestly, Rick, I never stopped the basics. And
right.
I think that's why my business, like I'm referring a lot out right now. But it was really the focus on the basics. And I built my own listing presentation. I stole a lot of stuff from the Berkshire presentation, but for me, it was a little too much, a little too large. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to condense this, and I made my own thing. And then I said, okay, what is my system? And this is probably one of the biggest things that I feel like I see agents needing help with is systems, right? Not
Yeah.
just mindset, but systems. Like, what is your process for a listing? Like, you do it every single time this way, right? The house has changed and the people changed, but your listing presentation, it can be the same every time,
Sure
right?
can.
It doesn't have to be all this big folderol of, okay, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. You know, make a system that you know you can execute and works. And then that's that. And then you do it for your buyers. You have a system for your buyers, and you bring them in, and you get a buyer broker agreement,
Thank you.
right? I mean, come on, like, and
I
I
just did a
don't
video
mean
about
that
that.
in a singing way. I don't, but I got burned. I never did them, and I got burned by a really good friend, and now I always do them. And it's such a peaceful way. And a lot of people have a problem talking about the buyer broker, Rick. They really do.
Oh, I
And
know.
I think because they feel like they've got to, you know, kind of fluff it and just tell them, hey, look, this is how I do it. It's a commission agreement. And I'm going to be Rick Barrett. You have to hire me, you know.
Right.
But
That's what I tell them,
really,
right?
that's it. It is. It's an employment agreement. If you can sign an exclusive right to list, then you can sign an exclusive right to buy.
Amen,
You know what I
brother.
mean? And so that puts me to work for you. If you don't want to do it, I'll still work for you here and there if I can. But if somebody else comes in the same price point, or there's somebody else that has signed a buyer broker, I'm sorry, but I got to take care of them first. You're at the bottom of the line,
Right.
you know? And
I
I
agree.
don't and how would you feel if I came back to you after taking you to a new build, after you've been looking at all this resale, and you decided, okay, we're going to go new build? Well, there's new builds out there that are offering a $0 co-broke.
Right.
So now I've got to go back to you and I've got to go, well, you're going to have to pay me 2.5%. Well, you never told me that. We've been working together all this time. Can you imagine how duped the consumer is going to feel?
Right.
So have that elephant in the room conversation right up front, man.
I agree. I agree, especially in a market like this where people, aren't getting properties and blah, blah, blah. It's my little joke is there's never been a time in the history of mankind, for real estate anyway, that easier to get a buyer broker agreement signed than now. And they have to hire you. And, everything you just said. Plus, it doesn't cost them anything unless they have that situation, which is rare, until the closing. And it doesn't cost, even at the closing, it doesn't cost them. You just get paid out of the proceeds of the closing. So it's the way to go. I've been around since before lockboxes, before pagers, before cell phones, and before buyer broker. Remember you took your exam? Caveat emptor. Buyer beware. That's how it was when I started, and it wasn't as good as it is now. People got sued. Yeah, could you imagine you do a deal, there's two agents? Agent for the seller, sub-agent for the seller. No one for the buyer. It doesn't even make sense if you think about it.
No, I agree. And we've had a false narrative of say, well, I work for free. Well, no, you don't.
You don't.
I don't work for free. I don't know about you, but I mean, when you go to a job and you say, well, I want to work here, and well, how much are you going to pay me? Oh, well, you're going to work for free. You wouldn't take the job.
Yeah, you got the job. You don't get paid. Yeah, or like, have you ever had someone say to you, "Well, wait, don't you have to show me houses?" No,
No,
I don't have to show. I don't have to do anything. Well, isn't that part of your job description? Like, I've had an agent say to me that a buyer said that to him. I go, "What would you have said?" I go, "I don't have to do anything. You haven't hired me yet." So yeah. All right, my man. Any final words you want to leave these lovely people? This has been really good, by the way, Patrick. I love it.
appreciate it. Well, yeah, guys, look, coming from the guy who was running around with his hair on fire, had a great first 4 years in real estate, and I loved it. I still love it. I love this business. Just, make sure that you're consistent, that you're really focused on consistent activities. Don't try to do everything. That would be two. Don't try to do everything. Just do a few things, one or two even, really, really well. And it starts in your database. It starts in your database all day long. And then three, make sure that you are putting in time off for yourself, because you are no good for your business, for your clients, for yourself, or for your family if you don't put some time off in there. Legitimate time off. And I don't mean that you're out there, well, I got a day off, I'm gonna go do the laundry, I'm gonna do that. No, it's a day off. You're resting, right? Now,
Totally agree.
Well, it could be that laundry's cathartic for you, but it sure isn't for me. So
No, I don't think Is it cathartic for anybody? I don't think so. Maybe a really sick human. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and I loved your 3 points too. You know, you got to have your lead generation source. You got to. What was the second one? Client care. Was that it?
Oh, well, yeah. So lead generate, client care, and business development.
And business development too. Yeah, those are really good for everybody to hear as well. All right, Patrick, Mr. Manager of Sedona, where the positive energy vortex of the universe resides. Can you feel it when you're up there? Can you feel it?
I can feel it, man.
All right, my man. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Take it easy.